Two murders in Mount Vernon during the holiday season. They have caused tension in the city. Nightclub owner O'Neal Brandew, he was gunned down on Christmas Day. That when a man who was kicked out of the club opened fire. And on New Year's Eve, 2:30 in the afternoon, a 13-year-old girl, Samoya McKenzie, a rising star, she was killed while on the way home from basketball practice. It was an apparent random bullet. It was fired at her mom's car and it struck Samoya in the head. She'll be laid to rest a week from today. Only 8 police cars were on the streets of Mount Vernon at the time of her shooting, and that has set off a political battle over budgeting and usage of police resources. Well, I spoke about that and much more with the embattled mayor of Mount Vernon, Mayor Richard Thomas. Obviously, I want to get into the specifics of this tragic case here, but it's hardly been the only shooting that Mount Vernon has had to suffer through. In covering the aftermath of this and some of the other cases, we've spoken to residents that say out front here, especially in certain pockets of Mount Vernon, they don't feel safe. What do you say to your constituents who are worried about their safety in Mount Vernon?
Enough is enough, and we're going to continue to advocate and push for a stronger safety system in our city. Before I took office, I made it clear that cuts to public safety is unacceptable. In 2015, we had 212 officers in 2 murders. In 2016, 195 officers and 11 murders. This is something that's just unacceptable. I've told the council and the controller that enough is enough. We have to make a commitment and invest in safety, and I hope that they honor that commitment.
The shocking headline, obviously, is a 13-year-old in broad daylight killed right at the beginning of what looked to be a very amazing life here. A very talented young lady was taken from us. But a couple of the things that shocked me when I read what surrounded was, at the time, there was only 8 squad cars in use in Mount Vernon on New Year's Eve. And the responding folks, the first ones there, were the MTA to secure the scene. This is Mount Vernon. This is not some podunk little town here. 70,000 people, I think you have in your city, or something thereabouts.
Right. That's correct.
9 officers?
Well, that's so cars.
Yeah, 9 squad cars. I mean,
cars versus the amount is always a difference. What I can tell you is we're very thankful for the support of the MTA. We're very thankful that the FBI and the state and the county have all stepped forward to support our city. And this is exactly why cutting 21 positions from the police department is just a bad idea for Mount Vernon. And I don't understand how my colleagues in government can sleep with themselves at night, because this is something that is frightening.
Well,
I know that we have taken aggressive steps to ensure that we provide coverage. We bring in, extra officers throughout the day. But in terms of the daytime, there's typically a quiet time, particularly on New Year's Eve. So we had our standard procedure in place. We had, as stated, 8 squad cars, 8 sector cars, and approximately 15 officers on duty at the time. We ramped up for the evening duty and evening tour when people are driving, and had ESU units on call as well. So we had coverage. It's just the unfortunate thing is we need more manpower to ensure that the investigations are happening. We're creating a relationship with our community and our schools and our kids, so there's understanding on both sides of the badge. And these are policies that we've been pushing, but it takes resources. And right now, those aren't available to us yet.
Well, let me give you a chance to respond, because when you made that argument, some within Mount Vernon's hierarchy disagreed. This is from the City Council President, Marcus Griffith. He said, this isn't a monetary issue. You can throw money at anything. It's what you do with the money. The reality is we didn't have enough officers on duty. It isn't a matter of having new officers on the Mount Vernon Police Force. Why weren't they on duty on a day like New Year's Eve? So the mayor can't point fingers at the city council without the council pointing fingers back at the mayor and his administration.
It's so funny because, we hired 2 officers the other day, and the controller and the council said we can't hire them because they didn't put the money in the budget. The bottom line is, if we don't have the resources in the budget, if they keep us behind a plated glass, we're going to struggle in terms of providing more and more officers on the streets. You can't do double, triple duty, double, triple overtime, and at some point fatigue is going to set in. So the bottom line is we're doing the best of what we have. We're very thankful for our partners in law enforcement, and this is exactly why I'm going to continue to advocate and insist that we do the right thing by our city. And I said to my colleagues in government, many of which that have been there in years past, if we really cared about our kids, Memorial Field would not be shut. It will be open. And these are the things that I've been focused on because I grew up in Mount Vernon. I understand what these kids face, having to deal with no food in the fridge or roaches crawling out of your iron. I grew up that life, and I understand that education is the way to get out of it, and the way that we get kids to see education as the answer is by providing alternatives to violence. And this is where investments in programs, investments in safety can work. It worked for me when I grew up in Mount Vernon. It can work for others. I just need their support so we can move our city forward.
You realize, if you're a Mount Vernon resident, and certainly you know as one growing up and one today, they don't want to hear about fighting with city council, controllers, and mayors. They just say, my gosh, can we just have some security on our streets?
And that's where the facts are, the numbers don't lie. 2015, different mayor, more police. 2016, more money to work with. It's not a monetary problem, it's a priority problem. And unfortunately, you know, the focus has become revenge as opposed to reconciliation. I'm focused on moving the city forward. I've extended olive branch after olive branch. I've presented plans, proven ideas based on, you know, Oklahoma City, Austin, Texas, you name it. I've been reaching out to various experts to help the city move forward. And it doesn't matter what it is, even police. Just think about it. Just the other day, we hired 2 more officers, and they said, no, we didn't put the money in the budget. So all I can say to the public is I'm going to continue to fight the good fight to keep Mount Vernon safe, and we're going to continue to work with our partners in the FBI, county, and state, and we're very thankful for their support because Mount Vernon, we need safety.
Any closer to making arrests in this case?
What we do have is information that has come in that has really painted a picture of what transpired. We can't get into the details as to who, but we do know that we have a good idea of what happened, and the police are diligently tracking down all these people that you know, be it witnesses or folks that may have some information that we want to talk to. We're thankful to Crime Stoppers for stepping up to put a monetary reward in place, and we're thankful to our police foundation that also indicated that they're going to make a donation toward the reward as well, and all the other businesses and people in the community that have come together. So far, the clergy has really come together, uniting, indicating that they want to see safety in our city. And it's these people, these partners at the table that need to join us to have a focused conversation, a fact-based discussion, so we can say, these are the investments we're going to make. And I look forward to partnering with our faith leaders, our business leaders, and hopefully my colleagues on the Council and Control.
And we've put up on the screen for our audience right now both the phone numbers for Crime Stoppers as well as for the police department in Mount Vernon. They'd like any information as possible here that the audience can help in this investigation that's ongoing. I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And hopefully this year is going to have a better beginning and ending than the end of last year.
Well, we're definitely going to keep fighting the good fight, and hopefully, you know, this is what brings Mount Vernon finally together, get rid of this political strife. Enough is enough, and we got to move forward, not backwards.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we will shift gears. A local man spends a quarter of a century in prison for a crime it turns out he never committed. He earns a degree behind bars, learns to box behind bars, and then he gets out and wins his first professional fight over the age of 50. Well, we spoke with him. We'll have that conversation straight ahead.